Hello, this is tie and dye, or do I call it bandhani or bandhej? It is a type of fabric manipulation technique where parts of the fabric are plugged into tiny bindings or motifs using strings or elastic bands. It is a laborious process where a single stole can carry thousands of knots. Finally, the dyed fabric is dipped into the dye solution. Since the tied knots don't let the color reach that part and resist it, it gives us a beautiful piece of cloth with combinations of clusters and swirls. Now you may ask, I had dipped the fabric in the peach colored dye bath. How did I end up in this grey tone? For that, keep on watching. Here I use 7 meters of raw silk fabric. Also required a ruler, dye kit, chalk, measuring tape, rubber band, chickpeas or beads. As a first step, using the ruler and chalk, I first mark dots 2 inches apart both vertically and horizontally throughout the fabric. Then using chickpeas and elastic band, I tied knots on every alternate dots. We can tie knots on every other dot that is marked 2 inches apart. It will give a more dense pattern, but here I chose to tie knots on every alternate dots. Then a few hours later, after tying knots on most of the fabric, the elastic bands started breaking apart. Maybe because they were old. So here I started using silk thread instead of the elastic bands. We will have to do the same. Twist the thread around the fabric several times and tie a knot to secure it. With the help of my mom, I was able to finally tie all the required knots around the fabric. Now was the time for dye bath. On the other side of the fabric, this is how the manipulation looks like. Beautiful, isn't it? I then folded the fabric randomly, twisted it into these spiral swirls, then preparing the fabric with a fixative dipped in water. The fixative is what causes the color to bind with the fabric so that it doesn't come out in the wash. Then in the hot water, which is about 70 to 80 degrees Celsius, I added vinegar, more than a few drops. Then I also added salt. Maybe I shouldn't have, but I added. Then I really wanted a peach colored shade. So here I'm adding the peach color into the water. The color of the dye bath looked so beautiful. As soon as I dipped the fabric into the dye bath, I did not see the color that I had imagined reflect on the fabric. So I was immediately disappointed. Maybe I shouldn't have added the salt, or I don't know. So I immediately decided to add a different shade to enhance the color, and I added the indigo blue over here. Now, again, I did not want this blue shade, right? So I was disappointed, I was laughing, and my dad told, it was better you wore the white fabric itself. Why did you go to color? Within a minute's time, I again decided to add this orange color. Now, why am I doing all of this? Don't ask me. The color on the parts where I added orange immediately changed. It changed to grey, there was blue, there was beige, and whatnot. Now I let the fabric stay into the dye bath for 20 minutes. I then dipped the dyed fabric in normal temperature water mixed with dye fix solution. Left it for 10 minutes. Until this point, I was not happy with the color. I mean, where I wanted peach and where are these shades of grey? But then when I saw this ombre effect that it had created, I was in love. The elastic bands had perfectly resisted the dye and created the dot patterns. I created a sari out of this fabric, which I will be sharing next. Now, coming to this, I shall end it here. If you like the video, do consider sharing it among your friends and subscribe to my channel. Bye.